we have to understand that karate is like building a house. Right? When we build a house, we first create the foundation. The foundation has to be strong, it has to be reinforced. It's made of concrete. Then the walls can be built, right? The walls are built. When the walls are completed, then the roof is done. When the roof is done, then the inside, the finishing takes place. Right? So the journey of karate is like this. From white belt to brown belt, you are doing the external of the house. The foundation, the walls, the roof. When you get to black belt, it becomes the polishing of your karate, the furnishing of the house. Right? So they do all the inside. Kitchen cupboards, bathroom, internal features, they beautify the home. Okay? That's when you get to black belt, you start beautifying the karate, making it better. Now, not only the physical karate is being done, you're polishing your character, you're becoming a better person. So they say the moment you become a black belt, your character changes drastically. It gets even better. You become humble, less egoistic. You don't feel you're greater than other people or less than. You develop confidence, courage. But when we do our basics, from white belt to brown belt, we do our basics. We got to make sure we understand how the basics are done. We have to understand what gives power to the technique. Every technique has a way of standing. We've got to make sure we're standing correctly. So I say to the students always, whenever you're standing in a Hanko position, your heels must always be out, like I am. Right? You never stand with your heels in. Because when you stand with your heels in, you get less power in your technique. There's no drive. When you have your heels out and your knees bent, you have drive in your technique. You have drive in your technique. So stances are very important. When we take the long stance, for instance, if you are not standing correctly in a proper long stance, power is lost. So you use nature and you use natural forces to generate power in whatever you're doing. So let me use you as an example, right? So you come up and take a long stance facing this way. A nice long stance, you bend your front knee, okay? Shoulder square, which is good. And you put your left hand out to punch, right hand to the chamber. Okay. Now, bend your front knee. So when you look down, your knee should cover your toes. Okay? So nice and strong. Now I'm going to apply pressure here. Okay? So this is very powerful. This is very strong. Okay? Because what happens is by him bending on the front knee, the force is going forward. I can feel it in my hand. So bend that knee. Bend it. Keep this hand straight. There's force there. I'm pushing quite hard here. I'm pushing very hard here, and I can't push it because the force is going forward. But we can change that to have less force by standing in correctly, right? Say for instance, he's got his hand there, and now this knee is straight. So when I push on there, it's weak. There's no power. So by having, stand again, long stand. So by having this knee straight, the power and the punch is lost. But let us say he's bending his front knee, which is good. Now when I touch this leg, just bend it, right? So keep this nice and straight and strong. So I'm going to touch this and just bend it, right? So I'm applying equal force here, equal force, and I touch, what happens? The power is gone. So the stances are designed to give power. By keeping this leg straight, this leg is pushing the force downwards, the floor is pushing back upwards, the force is coming through, this invisible force going through the arms to give power in this technique. Okay. So thank you very much. So, whenever we're standing in whatever stance it is, if you don't stand correctly, you have no power, right? So let us say I work with Nidan over here, right? And I do a Sanshin stance. Now we all know that Sanshin stance is, heels out, back leg straight, heel and toe on the same line across, and knee slightly bent with the hip up, right? So this is Sanshin. Okay? Never drop your hip in Sanshin, you always lift your hip. So what happens when you lift your hip, if I lift my hip like this, this here now kind of pushes up and the toes grip the ground. And it makes Sanshin stance an unshakable stance. Unshakable. Right? So, if I was standing here, for instance, and Nidan grabbed my wrist here, right? And let us say now I'm standing incorrectly in my stance. Let us say this heel is now facing this way, and this heel is facing this way, and I think I got Sanshin stance. Now I'm going to try and push Nidan, right? I can't push him because I'm standing incorrectly. There's no power in my stance at all. But if I push this heel up, like this, if I push this heel up, right, and my hip up, it's easy to push it. Easy to push it because I got power from the stance. The stance gives me power to generate the energy forward. You see that? So every stance is designed. Every stance is designed to give power to the technique. Right? When we do techniques, for instance, when we execute techniques, punches, blocks, strikes, it's designed to give power in that technique. If you do it in an incorrect way, you will lose power. Like I see a lot of people doing, for instance, let us say, Sanshin Dachi stance with Moroto, when they form the kata. Okay? When they form the kata. Right? And I, as a teacher, will observe what other people are doing sometimes. And I notice people have their hands out like this, in a Sanshin stance. When you do this, this is terribly weak. Or they have their hands above the shoulder like this. That's terribly weak. So I'm going to get Nidan to come over here. And just to show you, so you stand over there, let us say you go into Sanshin stance, right? Into Sanshin stance with a moral to block. Let us assume you're not doing it correctly, so your hands is out here, but keep it tight. Keep it nice and tight, nice and strong, right? But your hands are out, it's way out. Now if I push on this, there's no power. If I push on this, there's no power. Okay? But if he brings the elbow in, hands up, okay? So if I draw a line from that point to the shoulder, it has to be in a straight line. So from that point to there straight, this has to be shoulder height. Above the shoulder is a useless technique, and I'll show you why. Okay? It has to be the same level as the shoulder. Now, I'm going to push down on his hand. This is powerful. But the moment this changes to here, just hold it with the same strength. You can't hold it. It's impossible to hold. Okay? Here, it's more powerful. So we work within the framework of the body. When we work within the framework of the body, the technique is powerful. Stances are powerful, technique is powerful. Right? It's about generating power. How can you generate power through what you do? Right? Relax. So, whatever you're doing, stand here. So whatever you're doing, you need to be thinking, is this the correct way to stand? Is this the correct way to generate power? Is this the correct way of executing the technique? Ask, investigate. One of the greatest lessons I learned from Goshi Yamaguchi Shihan in Japan, the very last lesson that he took me, he said to me, study the techniques. Study the techniques. I'll never forget that lesson. Study the techniques. Understand the techniques. Why you do it, how you do it. Why you do it, how you do it. Why do you do it? And what are you doing? Right? So, everything in karate is designed to give power. Focus comes from your mind. You need to be thinking about the technique, right? For instance, if we are punching, stand in a long stance and punch. When you, so face this way, So when we are standing in a long stance and we're punching, and let us say this is where the target is. This is where the target is. And now Niran is going to punch the target with the other hand. Okay? Now all he thinks about in his mind, this is the target, this is what I'm hitting. Okay? So punch. It's hardly move. Right? When we punch in karate, we never just punch for the target. We punch what we call through the technique. Through the target, right? So in his mind, he has to aim for here. He doesn't aim for there, because the mind is funny. The mind will stop the power here. Or we want the power to go there, right? We want the power to go there. So he has to punch with the through technique, where he's thinking about the technique going past. So punch again. My hand moved, did you see that? He punched through. When you punch through, you got more power. Never aim for the surface of the technique, right? So through technique, punching through. Right? Okay. Any questions so far? Anything you'd like to know? Ask me any question you like. This is a good opportunity for it. So remember, stances are important. You've got to know how to stand correctly. Now, it is very important that we feel our stance. You know, every 2 seconds, don't look at your stance to see if it's okay. You have to feel your feet, right? When I stand this way in Hanko position, I can feel my heels up. Right, as they say, if you can't feel your feet, see a doctor, there's something wrong, right? So when you're standing, feel your feet. If you're standing in Sachi, feel your heels up. I see, you know, as a karate teacher, we observe other people. We observe other people. We see other teachers, how they do things, other instructors, how they do things, right? And of course, it is a natural thing without making a judgment, but it's a natural thing for us when we're observing to see, are they standing correctly? And you know what, the funny thing is, being a teacher of more than 45 years of teaching experience, I don't have to even say I'm looking for faults. We can see when things are incorrect, right? For instance, you see people punching, okay? They have the thumb on the first finger, right? Incorrect, as you know, okay? It should be over the 2 fingers, because these 2 knuckles are involved in the technique. So you're going to hold 2 fingers because 2 knuckles are involved. You're not punching with 1 knuckle. You're punching with 2 knuckles. So you've got to jam that in there. Okay? That is the 2. Those are the 2 knuckles that you're using to attack. Right? When the thumb is weak, when the thumb is moving around while punching and executing technique, the power of the technique is not there. It's lost. You've got to make sure it's tucked into a proper fist. So remember, this is a weapon. It has to be a solid weapon. If your thumb is moving around and your fist is not clenched properly, it's a weak weapon. How's it going to do any damage? But the rest of your arm has to be relaxed. This is tight, this is relaxed. So whenever you're punching to get speed, your arm has to be relaxed. The only thing that's tight is your fist. what I want you guys to do is to think about, when you're doing your techniques, when you're doing your cover, don't just do the actions. Anybody can do the actions, you know. Dancers do the actions, right? Easy to do, just do the action. But you have to do it correctly, okay? Now the analogy that I use all the time, you have 3 doctors. You have a doctor with an A pass. You have a doctor with a D pass. You have a doctor with an F pass. Which doctor would you like to go to? Would you like the doctor with the F pass or the D pass? Or would you prefer the A pass doctor? You prefer the A pass doctor because then you kind of guaranteed he's going to really take care of you. The same way, we have to practice karate with the intention of being an A student. Everything has to be done well. It's not how many katas you know, it's how well you know your kata. It's how well you know your technique. I was never in a hurry for my gradings, but it came. Gradings don't make a karate person. It's your knowledge and your ability. My karate, and I'll say it openly on any forum, my karate has saved my life. The way I practice has saved my life many times over. So I do karate not so that I am a well-known person. I do karate because it makes me a better person. And we all need to improve. I need to improve. And I keep reflecting on myself, saying, am I better than yesterday? So the reason I do karate is so that I can become better prepared for any situation out there. I do karate because when I'm engaging with people, we leave the company and they say, that's a good person. If I'm associating with somebody or working for a company, they say, wow, that's a good worker. So I do karate so I can improve the quality of my life and the skills of my life. So when you practice karate, you need to be thinking about it. You need to be thinking, why are you practicing? And the intensity of your training. If you practice karate at a 20% level, your defense skills out there is 20%. If you're practicing at 100%, your defense skills is 100%. Those people on the street, bad guys, are fighting all the time. They love fighting. Am I right? The guys on the street, the bad guys, are thugs. They love fighting. They train. They fight all the time and they get good at it. We try to be good people and we train in defense to protect ourselves against those guys that fight all the time. So our defensive skills must be greater. So when you practice your skills here in the dojo, you have to practice well. You have to practice well. By practicing well, you'll have no difficulty in protecting yourself. So think about it deeply, guys. Think about what you're doing and how you do it. Don't just go through the motions. Anybody can go through the motions. Sometimes, when you're talking to people, when you're having a conversation with people, their minds are here or not here. The minds are drifting. Right? Karate is the same. Some people train just to go through the motions, but they're not thinking about what they do. Okay? You need to be thinking about what you're doing, not just going through the motions because Kancho or Shian or Sensei Nidan, Shodan, whoever's taking you, he's just telling you, okay, lunch punch. And you just do a lunch punch. You know, you're going in, just doing a lunch punch. While the teacher's eyes are somewhere else, and you're just doing the motions. There's no benefit. There's nothing. But if you train with intensity, and you're standing in a proper form, and you stand, punch, into your form, punch. Each time you're thinking about how to generate power, you're punching through your tongue. You're blocking. Imagine somebody's attacking you and you're blocking. How can you not fail? How can you not get strong? How can you not get powerful? So the lesson today, guys, is pay attention to technique. Reflect on what's being taught and say, am I doing it correctly? Am I doing it with full intensity? If you're not feeling well, sit down. If you're too tired and exhausted, sit down. This dojo is not a military dojo. We're here to help you guys along. If you're feeling tired, a bit sickish, sit down. Come back when you feel it. Thank you for listening, and we're going to prepare now for other things in the dojo. So Nidan will continue with the warm-up. No questions before I go. Everybody happy? Okay. Did you learn anything today? So focus on those things and work with it. Thank you. Right, guys.